Welcome back to CBS Sports HQ. Breaking news out of the NFL on this Monday morning. The Panthers firing Matt Rhule after 2+ seasons spent in Carolina. He compiled a record of 11-27 as the Panthers were blown out at home yesterday by the San Francisco 49ers in a very pro-San Francisco crowd. The tenure of Matt Rhule was not a very friendly one, especially if you're a fan of offense. It was anemic almost every single week, just under 20 points per game. That will not get it done when you have a defense that struggles to keep it going when the offense can't get them off the field in enough time. Matt Rhule fired in Carolina. Steve Wilks will take over on an interim basis as the head coach, the former head coach of the Arizona Cardinals for a season. He's in his second stint with Carolina. So now Matt Rhule out in the free agency market, going to figure out where he's going to go next. We're now joined by our college football expert, Dennis Dodd. And Dennis, we've already had a fair share of coaches being fired in the college ranks. You've got Wisconsin, Georgia Tech, Nebraska, Arizona State, just to name a few. We knew that Matt Rhule was a program builder, and he did well in college at Baylor. He did well at Temple. Where do you think we could see Matt Rhule land, and could it be as soon as next season?
Yeah, I definitely think it'll be next season, Zach, and I think he shoots to the top of the list at Nebraska. There's much speculation about Lance Leopold at Nebraska and Wisconsin, but now you've got a proven head coach, at least at the college level, that I think would be willing to take those jobs. I'm not saying Lance Leopold is out of it, but I just want to go over what Matt Rhule accomplished in only 3 years at Baylor. He came into a program that it was in the middle of a scandal. It was still the sexual assault scandal going on there. He recruited a first class that had no 4 or 5 stars, Zach. His best in-state player was a 178-pound receiver named Gavin Holmes, who I think was the 58th player in Texas. His best national recruit was the 262-rated guard in the offensive line. Zach, 2 years later, that 1-11 team was 11-3 and taking Oklahoma to overtime for the Big 12 championship. I can't stress that enough. He's a developmental guy. He's a college coach. He knows the ropes right now. And if there's a code he can crack, it's Nebraska's, because they've tried everything. You might as well get a guy who's the son of a minister who grew up in New York, played at Temple, coached at Temple, was very successful there, played under Joe Paterno as a walk-on at Penn State. He knows the ropes. And I think this is what, frankly, this was just a dalliance. He thought he could do it in the NFL. Maybe it didn't work out. He goes back to college. Now he's got a few months to think about it. I thought the problem in the beginning for him from the beginning with all these job openings was he had to extricate himself from the Panthers first before he did anything. Well, now that's been taken care of. He can openly talk to these teams. And I think Nebraska's the favorite right now. I think Wisconsin is going to have some interest. And frankly, if Arizona State gets itself together, I think he would go to Arizona State, but I don't know how focused they are on getting a guy like Matt Rhule. But he'd be available.
I remember you mentioned Matt Rhule being the son of a preacher. His introductory press conference that he had in Carolina, it gave those vibes and spirits of a guy that seemed like he would be the one to be able to turn around just from hearing him speak. Do you think he has lost any of his luster now as a head coach? Will he have any trouble being able to get back to the college ranks and do what he was able to do so well?
No, I think he'll be successful very quickly because what I just mentioned, Zach, he was at the absolute bottom with Baylor and signed a class with no 4 or 5 stars, and 2 years later, again, playing for the Big 12 title. If he goes to Nebraska, as bad as Nebraska is, their football infrastructure right now, and I know they got money and I know they're in the Big 10, and I know they're going to go in feet first with NIL, that's a bad product on the field. And that thing has to be turned around quickly, and it's still better than what Baylor was in 2017. He was at Baylor from 2017 to 2019. There's much more in place at Wisconsin. Paul Chryst had won 72% of his games. You just saw Graham Mertz have a big day Saturday in their victory. I don't think they're terrible. I think Nebraska's borderline terrible right now. So if you can turn around Baylor, short answer, you can turn around Nebraska.
If he decides to not go that way of Nebraska, for me, it seems like the Georgia Tech could be another opportunity to really take a program and build it over again after Jeff Collins got rid of the offense that they ran for so many years and no more option and everything. Is that a chance to kind of be in that same kind of recruiting territory that he had with the kids that he was recruiting in Baylor, being back in the Southeast in that area? Could Georgia Tech be a spot in the ACC to really kind of shoot up?
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about mentioning Georgia Tech. It's a private like Baylor. She's got some experience there. My question for Georgia Tech, after getting rid of Jeff Collins and the athletic director, Todd Sansbury, what is their commitment to big time football right now? And I don't mean to insult them. I just have the question because I don't know. Are they willing to spend what it's going to take to get a Matt Rhule, who's a proven college commodity, to after making NFL money? That might be in the $6 or $7 million range, because that's how highly he is thought of in the college space. But he will get them winning. And in a conference, frankly, it's not the SEC, where you can get some things done. So yeah, Zach, you raise a good point. I think Georgia Tech is definitely in the space, but it's going to be a horse race. This is going to be really interesting because I know Nebraska's very interested. I absolutely think that Georgia Tech's going to be interested. I don't know where Arizona State's heads are at right now. I think that'd be a good job for him as well. And if his age, I don't know who his agent is right now. I'm about to find out. He's going to have a bidding war on his hand, and this guy's going to make a lot of money pretty soon.